and all that. So we apologize, our viewers. We deeply apologize. This is nobody's fault at all. This is nobody's fault at all. On this note, we are going to start this program based on three principles. I'm still waiting for you to appear on the screen.
I'm here now, I believe.
Yes, so we are starting based on three principles. The first principle is the freedom of speech. We are going to visit, what the freedom of speech says, especially most of the international laws about the freedom of speech. And then after that, we go to the state formation, what is being recognized as state. What is the statehood when people, a group of indigenous people or people of same ethnic group are agitating or wanting the freedom or independent or sovereignty state. We are going to go very briefly on that, and then the third one will be on the international standard. The international standard of freedom of first, the international standard of freedom of expression. Two is what the IPOB has filed in 2016 to the International Criminal Court. This communication was done in 2016 by Professor Goran Slota and Andrew Lunazi. You are very, very conversant with that. And then after that, we start the program. Why are we doing this? Why do we have to make references to these three issues I have mentioned here? Is because a lot of people will say that, okay, what you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, wait for international community to intervene and all that. But we want to tell them this evening that all these things they are saying, IPOB under your leadership has done even more than expected, and there is nothing to show for it anywhere today. You have written to International Criminal Court. You have hired some of the best lobbyists all over the world. You have done all this, and today we are going to show it to the public for the very first time. The application filed to the ICC in 2016. I know you'll be very surprised that I'm talking. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear, Simon. I'm hearing you. Please.
So I'm going to pull the application IPOB under your leadership filed to the International Criminal Court in 2016.
Yes.
We are only going to read because it is about 93 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are talking, they are saying something they know nothing about. They don't know how far you have gone with the IPOB, especially to get justice for what the Nigerian government has done to our people. So today I am going to release only one tip of the iceberg, and I'm doing it for the very first time on this program. It's going to be on the screen very shortly, because this program is going to be completely different than what normal what we have been doing all this while. Is going to be completely different. And then also, if the attack is too much, that they couldn't allow us to do something or, do it the way I wanted to do it, then what we have to do is that we may have to reschedule, and I will set up a Zoom, because I'll be getting a lot of messages from different media as I'm talking to you right now. I'll be getting a lot of messages from different media houses, and they are telling me what to do. They are telling me to do this and do that. So if this doesn't work out, we have to now
we can have a discussion, and then we can present the evidence afterwards. We can have a discussion today, and then the evidence will be presented later.
Exactly.
But I do thank the viewers and listeners for their patience. They've been patiently waiting, and I can see that the numbers are back up again to where it was before we were rudely interrupted. But we must proceed. We must proceed. Yes.
So before we go forward, could you tell our viewers a little bit about this application I've just mentioned to you, filed in 2016?
In 2016, our lawyers, should I say our attorneys in Europe, approached the ICC to make or to present a very compelling case about the human rights abuses being perpetrated by the Nigerian government against the people of Biafra. As you well know, Gordon did a very wonderful work. That was in 2016. Also in 2017, additional work was done by our lawyers here in the United States of America. In 2018, additional work was done by our lawyers back home. In 2019, we hired one of the top human rights lawyers in the world to litigate this very matter before the ICC against the Nigerian government. In that same 2019, and as you said, I believe for the very first time, I'm providing clarity on this very matter, I went to the ICC myself. I went to ICC myself. I was deposed. I told them exactly what was happening. They said we shouldn't discuss it when we go outside, and we've been waiting since 2019. We're in 2021. And instead of doing something about the, should I say, the very relentless pursuit of the Biafran people, the Nigerian government has been emboldened, the zoo has been emboldened into killing our people, not just killing us. We have now arrived at a situation where our women are being abducted and raped in the north because ICC failed to do something for how many years now? 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. We hired people in The Hague on a permanent basis, paying them tons of money to be collecting all this evidence against the Nigerian government for the sole purpose of bringing this matter before the ICC, at least for them to investigate. But due to the overwhelming political pressure on them, they have not been able to do anything about it. The only reason why they issued some kind of statement a few weeks ago, or should I say a couple of months ago, was because of the NSAS protest. If not, they would have mentioned it. I am in the United States of America, where we've hired a very top lobbying firm at Washington, D.C. at huge expense, I must tell you. You also know about the submissions we made to United Nations. Angela Calamar's report, everyone has read it. We went there, IPOB, she mentioned IPOB and Biafra. You can see that report on human rights abuses in the zoo. I have been to Geneva. I've sat down with United Nations officials in Geneva. I have been to the EU. Most of them, I have been to the House of Lords to make a presentation before Baroness Cox. I have been to Capitol Hill here in the United States of America, in Washington, to present our case. So where else do you want us to take our cases to before something is done about it? These are the things that people don't understand. Most of the contracts, most of the work we are doing, you cannot see them. You cannot write about them or talk about them. If not for this very program, I won't be discussing this. But it's about time our people realize that we are doing all we can to present all this catalog of abuse and degradation before the conscience of the international community. But unfortunately, Britain is working for Nigeria. There is what I call a climate of neocolonialism still prevalent in Nigeria, and they still see Nigeria as a contraption they created. They still see Nigeria as a place they can come to Biafra and take our oil and gas without paying for it. Therefore, anything that can sustain the false unity of Nigeria is what they are going to encourage. They see Biafra agitation as an antithesis to that very plan which they have, which is to keep this contraption together for them to have unfettered and unrestricted access to our resources. And that is what has been happening. But unfortunately, our people are not intelligent enough to understand it. Every year we spend money. We have somebody in The Hague right now collecting all the evidence, the rape cases, everything, all the murders, all the unprovoked attacks and invasions, everything. But for ICC to call up that very case is another problem. When I say that Biafra is going to be the last miracle on earth, people don't quite understand what I mean by that. Biafrans don't know the number of people and forces against them. They don't understand it. Those of us at the cold face of this struggle, deep inside it, we know who our enemies are, and they are numerous. But I am very, very confident of victory because the God we serve is the one that made this very universe, and his words must prevail. And on that very promise, we anchor our hope, we rest all that we are doing to restore Biafra. And we know that in the end that Biafra will come. We have a lot of enemies, you know. We've not done anything to them. It's Biafrans that built America. We built this very country that I'm in today. Biafrans built the United States of America. The majority of all the hard-working free men and women they took from the western coast of Africa, they shipped them to the USA. They are the ones that made this country great. So they see something in us that we cannot see. They know we are very productive. They know we are hardworking. But above all, Britain knows that we are blessed. It is that blessing from God that Britain doesn't want to see rise up in Africa. And that is why they're using very primitive Fulani people to try to suppress us. You saw yesterday that Britain, BBC was advertising army positions, asking you, even telling you what you can get the forms to join the Nigerian army. And I know that BBC functions on tax, or should I say license fee payers money in the UK. They don't accept any advert. So how come BBC Pigeon in Nigeria is advertising for people to join the army of Nigeria for free? Because they are, of course, agents of neocolonialism. They're working for Britain. They want Nigerian army ranks to swell up so they can suppress any measure of uprising against the very decaying, crumbling, damnable zoological republic. What our people need to realize is this. What we go through on a daily basis to ensure that our cases are heard all over the world is immense, everywhere, especially here in the USA. But if the world continues to turn a blind eye and they continue to kill, to rape, to murder, to slaughter people, to take our land, do you expect us to put our hands and do nothing? The answer is no, of course. We must fight because we have our backs now against the wall, and that's what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ohamadike, one of Biafra. Another thing I want to, this is just an introduction to what we are going to discuss this evening. Another thing I want to ask you is that, there is a man called Peter Smithers. Peter Smithers in 1998, wrote a Nigerian lesson from Sasmitas. Sasmitas said the negotiation that the Nigeria as a state was a grave mistake. After 40 years, it is clear that this was a grave mistake which has cost many lives and will probably continue to do so. It would have been better to establish several smaller states in a free trade area. The exculpation, it must be said, that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of the Soviet Union before our eyes. This was a man who was the parliamentary private secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of State in the colonial office 1952 to 1959. Can you tell us more about what you feel he is trying to do here?
What he's trying to do is to draw our attention to the incompatibility of the various ethnic nationalities you have that make up Nigeria, but more importantly, to draw our attention to the irreducibility of value system in determining who should belong with who in any nation. It's quite interesting that he used Yugoslavia as an example. The funniest thing that people don't understand about Yugoslavia is that they are all one Slavic people. They are all Slavic people, as you have with Russia and Bulgaria and all the rest of it. They're all Slavic people. They are one people, one race. They are predominantly Christians. Of course, you have in Bosnia and Herzegovina, during the march of Islam into Europe, that a few of them became Muslims, as you have in some parts of Kosovo and also in Albania. What I am trying to point out is this: these people who are one race, predominantly one religion, cannot live together in a country called Yugoslavia. How about people who are from Senegambia and goodness knows where else? Not the same language, not the same religion, not the same traditions, not the same culture, absolutely nothing. How can you make these people become one nation? Is not possible. That is something we've talked about before, that most Africans don't seem to pay much attention to. We are tribal animals by nature. Africans are tribal by nature. That is why every Christmas, every New Year festival, every August, we travel back to the village. Even if you live in Kaduna, somebody will ask you, where are you from? You say, I'm from Ihioma. Because that is where your ancestors come from. In Africa, we come from where our ancestors come from. But white Europeans can travel to Australia and they're comfortable. They're from Australia. They can travel to New Zealand. They're from New Zealand. They're okay with it. But even if you take us to New Zealand and we stay there for 1 million years, if you ask us where we come from, I will come from Ibeco. That is something that is very unique to Africa, and nobody can take that away from us. And that is something that most people do not understand nor have an appreciation for. That is why in Africa, everywhere you go to, be it in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, everywhere, people still talk about tribe till tomorrow morning because we are different. So rather than trying to experiment with us, this sort of very colonial, artificial construct, because mind you, all states in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, are all racist constructs. Those that developed or created Nigeria, that created Togo, that created Ghana, they had racism in mind, not your interest. And this is what we've been trying to explain to African people. If not, why would we go to Lagos during a revolution, or should I say a mini revolution, a protest? And people of Lagos, Yoruba people are saying, oh, that Igbos came here to destroy their buildings. But you are all one Nigeria, you claim. These are the things that people need to appreciate. We don't want Fulanis in our land. For the simple reason that we don't want to dilute.
Attention, attention. IPOB, one family. This announcement.
Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Something
just... It's okay. What I'm trying to point out, Simon, is this. Forget about all the one Africa. I'm a Pan-Africanist. But we need to start organically. We need to go back to where we come from and begin to build a consensus from the grassroots. When should Biafra want to join Oduduwa in forming a nation, we look at all the pros and cons and then reconcile all these things, and then we move together as one. Look at Britain that gave Nigeria, so that colonized and still owns Nigeria till tomorrow morning. Scotland wants to be on their own. Wales will be on their own very soon. Northern Ireland will live to be on their own. That is human nature. You cannot take it away from us. The only reason why they have Nigeria together the way it is, and why we have been complaining, and why authors and great commentators like the man you alluded to has not gotten any traction in terms of people being able to understand and appreciate what he's saying, is because of the way we reason. I say this all the time. Professor Wole Soyinka, a great literary giant, I would say, came out the other day to say that he is fed up, there is war on his doorstep. He knows very well, as an intellectual, so to speak, that the reason why the war is on his doorstep is because Nigeria is flawed. If Oduduwa were to be on their own, do you think somebody will go to, any cow will go to Soyinka's farm to eat the cabbage or the carrots? It won't happen. These are things that we need to understand, that first and foremost, we are tribal animals because life as we know it started in Africa. We are attached to the land we come from. That is who we are. Because the white man can be born in England and come to America to settle for life and say he or she is an American, doesn't mean we have to follow them. Thank you.
Thank you, Onyendu. Now let us now go from the fundamental in the sense that, you know, when people are hearing that we are agitating for Biafra, we want Biafra, some of them in the West, we say the political elite are not shouting Biafra, that they are only those who are in diaspora, you know, like civilized ones are the ones shouting for Biafra. And this is a fact a lot of people don't know. When you look at it, you find out that 99% of people in Biafra are shouting Biafra. 99% of Biafrans in Nigeria are shouting for Biafra. Only 1%, not even up to 1% of this so-called elite. These are the politicians that have benefited from Nigeria. Now, I want us to look at how will disintegrated Nigeria favor the region before we come into the crisis and the lives that have been lost as a result of trying to keep one Nigeria. Can you tell us, how do you think that a disintegrated Nigeria will favor the Fulani themselves, the Hausa themselves, the Middle Belt, the Oduduwas, the Biafrans, and any other nation that will want to come out of Nigeria? Explain to us. Let us hear.
Before I came on air on this, your fantastic program today, I read a very brilliant piece, or should I say a comment by somebody. The person said that Nigeria is the only place he knows where yesterday is better than today. Ask yourself, at which point in Nigeria's history did they record the highest level of human development? It was when they were on their own, when they were semi-autonomous regions. So there is an already made example there for people to reference, should they wish to do so. It was when this unitary mindset came into existence that things started to fall apart. So if when you were on your own, the North was doing very well, or the West was doing very well, Okpara had the fastest growing economy in the world at nearly 48% every year. Awolowo did his magic in the West. Now tell me, you have a simple example. When people were, should I say, semi-autonomous, or should I say autonomous, so to speak, they were doing very well. Now you are together in one Nigeria. Everything is falling apart to the extent that people are coming from Mali, from Senegambia, from Niger, from Chad, in your backyard, raping and killing you. It's a no-brainer. It's simple common sense. As I said before, that is who we are. Because once you allow an element of stress, an infusion of competition, you get the best out of the people. Right now, we do not have that. Right now, there is no competition. Right now, this thing about one Nigeria, unity is stifling the creative potentials in us, all of us. Yoruba is not doing well. Biafra is not doing well. Middle Belt is not doing well. The North is not doing well. Nobody is doing well. Then you ask yourself, all these glorious reference to our past, what period was it? The only period was between 1960 to 1965. And then you had regions. Who can argue with that? So the more you separate, the more you look inwards, the more you look at yourself, the more you become self-reliant, the more you, do you know that in those days, all the regions that they had embassies abroad? Do you know that? Do you know Eastern region had their own embassies abroad with their flag? Are you aware of that? Most people don't know this. And that was the time that Nigeria witnessed a semblance of growth in terms of human development. Now you have a very, should I say, disgraceful contraption called one Nigeria. And everybody is struggling. Cows are making your lives a misery. If you don't know that going back to autonomy is the best way forward, then there is something wrong with that person.
Onyendu, thank you very much. Just because you know everything we do in Biafra, we stand by the truth. We do everything with evidence and fact. Just to back up what you have just said, I told you about 93 pages of application filed to the ICC. Barely few years of formation of IPOB, because this was in 2016. Barely 2 years. The foundation of Nigeria were shaken by the formation of IPOB and the activity of the IPOB in Nigeria. So on that ground, this application was filed in 2016 January. So I am bringing it to the screen now for people to see. For those who are asking, this is number one. The application has been filed 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and this is 2021. And there is nothing to show for it. And there is a place I'm going. I'm going somewhere with this statement I'm making now, which we are going to discuss, later on in this program. Now, when you read the introduction here, it says, one, this communication is hereby filed to the Office of the Prosecutor, the OTP of the International Criminal Court, the ICC, pursuant to Article 15 of the Rome Statute, the statute, by Professor Goran Slota and Andrew, on behalf of the indigenous people of Biafra, a movement dedicated to self-determination of a former republic of Biafra in southeastern Nigeria, as well as on behalf of 17 individual citizens of Nigeria, the victims collectively, with the IPOB, the petitioner. Two, the petitioner submit that, based on the information set out herein, there is reason to believe that crimes against humanity within the jurisdiction of the ICC, in particular, murder, unlawful imprisonment, torture, enforcements, disappearance, other inhuman acts, and persecution have been committed in the context of politically and ethnically motivated state violence against primarily IPOB members and the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. Due to the absence of domestic criminal proceedings with respect to those potentially bearing the greatest responsibility for these crimes, in particular, but not limited to Nigeria current President Muhammad Buhari, and that was then, and in the light of the gravity of the act committed. Now, this is 93 pages, 93 good pages. The list can go on and go on. Factual evidences, citations, references, up to 93 good pages. And of course, like you said in the beginning, that you do not want to discuss this thing because a lot have been done and the people are not aware of it. So just to let the public understand what the IPOB have done all this while. When people go on social media to say IPOB under leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is doing this or they are not doing that, so this is just one evidence of it, that as far back as 2016, you have started taking actions which are necessary, lawful, and legal actions against the Nigeria terrorist state. But up to now, nothing is happening. But I'm still going to come back to why I am showing this thing, because the actions of today is as a result of the failure of the international community to heed to the call of the Biafra people, of which you have done honorably well in that aspect. So this is just a side comment on what you have said before. Now, going to what you've just said about how Nigeria, how it will benefit the other region and the component that makes up Nigeria, how it will benefit them when Nigeria is disintegrated. And you made mention of what you read, that Nigeria of yesterday, that yesterday is better than today. And that is very awkward fact. Very, very awkward fact that every president that comes to Nigeria, the last one will always be better than the new one. It's not only in the economic sector and all that. But the second question, or the third question I want to ask you is this. Now, looking at what is happening now, a lot of people don't understand what is going on in Nigeria. A lot of people still believe in of course, they still believe somehow in Nigeria. They believe that the political structure of Nigeria is the major problem. And we, people following you, have a different view and a different opinion to this. And I think this is where the interest is clashing. Anybody that is shouting for Nigeria today believe that the problem is in the political structure. We are believing that the problem is not about political structure, but rather there is a motivated, or there is a premeditated act to take our land and turn it into Islamic State or Fulanize us. So we are not looking at the aspect of the political structure anymore. It is a struggle for survival of our people. I want you to shed more light on this, because those supporting one Nigeria must have reason. And the reason what we have seen is that they are thinking that the political structure of Nigeria is the problem of Nigeria. So can you tell us more about, that it is not the political structure, rather something they should know about?
Thank you, somebody. Something they know about that pretend not to know about it. Everybody knows about the hegemonic tendencies of the Fulani Caliphate. We are well versed in the, should I call it, shenanigans of those people who are always expanding. There was a lecture that I gave that the Fulanis are the only people that continues to expand. Not expand in terms of population, but in terms of territorial influence and supplanting existing cultures and traditions with their own. When we say this thing, people say, "Oh, you're warmongering, you're profiling, and it is hate and all the rest of it." And I say it is pure nonsense. Look at the history of the Hausa people. Those of you that want one Nigeria, look at what is happening today in Kanem Borno, the place you call Borno State. Look at the fate of those of them in the Middle Belt. Look at the fate of those of them, our brothers and sisters in Yoruba land, Yoruba. Even the Caliphate left their footprints there many, many years ago in Kwara State. Many years ago, they overran Nupe people of Niger State. Many years ago, some of you don't know this, they forcibly tried to convert the Atta of a Gala to Islam. These things are there in our history books. They are everywhere. If one Nigeria means that our land should be surrendered to people from Senegambia, then death is a better option because it's not going to happen. We are the Biafran people, and within that Biafra, it contains a very unique race in the world called the Igbo race. They are very difficult, don't get me wrong, but they are very unique. Very, very unique. I don't think anybody is more stubborn than we are. I don't think anybody is more generous than we are. I do not believe that any race on this earth is more affluent in terms of natural blessing than we are. Anybody thinking they can use the guise of one Nigeria to take the land of our ancestors, that person is dreaming. Them and their cohorts, they are dreaming. And I will tell you why they're dreaming. They have tried before, over 300 years ago, to take that very land. They failed. Islam made it to the sea across West Africa. Islam made it to the Atlantic Ocean. The only place that Islam did not succeed in penetrating is the East. And when they came for that very jihad, we had no army at all. God Almighty in heaven fought for us. All their armies died. That thing they tried in Kwara State and succeeded, they tried it in Lower Benue, in Idoma and Igede lands, and they failed. All their armies died. The few that survived, they trekked back to Zaria from whence they came. I must warn anybody. All of these people agitating or saying, oh, we want one Nigeria, you are setting up yourselves to fail. You are as foolish as Hausa peasants. Hausa peasants did the same thing you're doing. Oh, allow them, give them land, give them cattle. By the time they woke up, all their kings were dead. Hausa kingdoms became Fulani Emirates. You have Hausa governors, you have Fulani governors. Telling you we are Hausa Fulani, we are Hausa Fulani. And I keep asking myself, why is it that people don't see all these things? Is it because, of course, that is why we call them a zoo, because they're very foolish, without apologies to anyone. Because if you are not foolish, history is there for you to reference. These people asking you for land, asking you for Ruga, maintain peace, let's stay in one Nigeria. What are their antecedents? What have they done in the past? Because where we come from, from their behavior in the past, you now know if you can trust them or not. But it's Britain that is behind the scenes, remoting everything that's happening in this zoo. I am a British citizen. I hold a British passport. I know there are good men and women in England. It is a land of conscience. It was English people that left Southampton to come to America to build America, the land of the free. English people, yes. They traveled on a ship called Mary Rose. They landed at a place called New England. Conscientious, honorable, God-fearing people. They were the ones that helped slaves to escape from the south to the north. English people. But there is a breed we have now. Blood-sucking demons. Their job is to hold Africa down, to hold the black person down. And how are they doing it? They don't want you to tamper with any of their creations in Africa, all these idiotic states, all these artificial boundaries they gave us in Africa. No, because that is the beginning of the chain that is holding us down, and they know it. And the question is, who is a Nigerian? And I will ask you a simple, I want you to contemplate something, Simon, for me. If I ask you now to go and prepare a Nigerian dish for me, what are you going to present? Because if you bring a wedu soup, somebody from the East will tell you that is not their food. They're not going to eat it. If you bring afang or a digaitom, somebody from Kanu State will tell you that is not our food. If you bring tuwo, is it tuwo shinkafi or whatever they call it, somebody from the Middle Belt will say that is not our food. Ordinary food, there is no commonality. Is it the way they dress? So I keep asking myself every blessed day when I wake up, What is it that unites Nigeria together? And then I discovered it is two things. An innate desire to be corrupt, and secondly, stupidity. Those two things are very, very pivotal. They are the things driving the zoo. People talk about their founding fathers. When the Fulanis are talking, they say our founding fathers, and I keep asking them, Nigeria, your president, so-called, the dead Buhari, is older than the country. And where else in the world do you have a head of state that is actually older than the country in the 21st century? So show me one place. Only in Africa. Because they came to Africa and they built all these contraptions, and now in our idiocy and stupidity as Black people, we accepted it. As I keep asking all the time, can you go to Europe to build a country for them? They will hand you that someday. If you cannot do the same thing in Europe that Europeans did in Africa, then why are you accepting it? Why are you accepting it? The key thing here is the way we reason. That is the problem with the Black man, how we reason. People talk about Nigeria as their country, talk about Nigeria as their nation, as if Nigeria has any legs to stand on in the first place. Nigeria it has no meaning. It is a very derisory meaning. It means something very temporary. If I ask in Yoruba language, tell me the meaning of Nigeria, you cannot tell me. If I go to Igbo language, tell me the meaning of Nigeria, you cannot tell me. But I know the meaning of England. It's the land of the English people. I know the meaning of France, or is the land of the French people. It's only in Africa that all this garbage. And we are, after our university, after our so-called PhD, FFD, SSD, common to reason like a human being, we cannot. Those are the things we are fighting. And those are the things that our detractors are very, very uncomfortable with. And that is why today you must pat yourself on the back and be member for that matter, for the very simple reason. At last, people are going to reason this. All thanks to what we are doing. So don't mind them. When they go back into the privacy of their homes, they consider what we are saying is right. But outwardly, due to economic, political, or whatever it is, they wish to toe the line of Nigeria one. We are not fighting with anybody. All we are asking them is to reason for once in their useless lives. So they say something. One if religious, one will insult you. I'm asking you, go to a white man's land and tell them you want to be a country in Europe. That day they will roast you alive. They will, in fact, they will first of all inject you. They will say you are not well in the brain. They came to our land, they divided Yoruba into three. Some Yoruba is in Togo, some Yoruba is in Republic, some are in the zoo. You're telling me that a Yoruba man who is in Nigeria is related to a Canadian man who is in Borno, more than his own brother in Porto Novo, in Benin Republic. They speak the same language, wear the same clothes, do eat the same food, everything is the same. But a white man, now we have French Yoruba, those who are in Benin Republic and in Togo. We now have English Yoruba who are in Nigeria. What type of God made us? And let me give you an example before I conclude on this very point. Some is this. Togo used to belong to Germany before. Togo, they were Germans before. After the Second World War, they used Togo to compensate France because Germany lost the war. And these are human beings in Africa, for Christ's sake. I can't understand this type of nonsense. I can't understand it. And that is why I keep saying that the one of the greatest disasters to befall me in life is to come from Africa. Where people do not reason. How can you have the same people? One part is French, one part is English. Is English and is Yoruba and the French are they the same people? The answer is no. And you're telling me that a Yoruba man inside Nigeria should relate with somebody in Borno State. The Lord have mercy. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you very much, Onyendo. You have explained this thing very broadly. The point you have made very clear is that they knew that the problem of Nigeria is not based on political structure. You know it very well. The problem of Nigeria is that people are conquering our land and they are trying to take our land and convert us into Fulani nation and caliphate, and that will be resisted with everything we have. Now, the next thing I want to talk about or ask you about is, of course, like I said, we are going to get tough, this evening. We are going to say things that will provoke a lot of people. And on that note, I'm going to bring to the screen the international acceptable, or should I say, the Declaration of human right on freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Now, when you look at what is going on in the zoo, they circulated some kind of threat letter to the medias in Nigeria, threatening them that you must not mention Fulani. When the Fulani have attacked and killed people, you must not mention them. So I'm going to read just very briefly a couple of these international laws. Like here, you see the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Now, the same, another international covenant on human political right, Article 19, everyone shall have right to hold opinion without interference. Everyone shall have the right to freedom of expression. The right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally or written, or in print and in form of art, or through any other media of his choice. The exercise of the right provide for in paragraph 3 of this article carries with its special duties and responsibilities. It may therefore be subject to certain restriction, but these shall only be such as are provided by law and are necessary. For respect of right or reputations of others, of national security or of public order or of public health or morals. Now, in this particular B, when the state becomes the sponsor of terrorism, of course, there is always exceptional clauses. Now, the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, Article 9, every individual shall have the right to receive information. Every individual shall have the right to express and his opinion. The resolution 116 on repealing criminal law in Africa by the African Commission on Human Rights and People's Rights, 24 December 2010, underlined that criminal laws constitute serious interference with freedom of expression and intend on the role of the media as a watchdog, preventing journalists and media practitioners to practice their profession without fear and in good faith. Automatically, this failed into Korea, commending state parties to African parties that do not have or have completely repealed insult and defamation laws. All state parties to repeal criminal laws. Of course, this is directly talking to Nigeria. Now, why I'm reading this, let us go to the European Convention as well. Convention of Human Rights, Fundamental. It is saying everyone has the right of freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold opinions and receive and impart information and ideas without interference and all that. Then the American Convention of Human Rights, Article 13, is saying the same thing. I don't need to go further. The Asian Human Rights is saying the same thing. Now, I am not going to ask you a question from this what I've just read now. I am not. It is not to ask you a question, but rather it is about what we are going to discuss from here. Now, looking at the Nigerian state today, you see that when it comes to international law, we have state actor, non-state actors. Now you have in Nigeria who have been internationally recognized by different nations, as aiding, abetting, and supporting terrorism, bad action, inaction, body language, policies, and name them. Now it lies in the hand of the citizen of this country. When you have a state sponsoring terrorists against its citizens, it lies in the hand of the citizen to rise up and protect themselves. On this note, you set up the security against the non-state actors, and we know that the state actors are also there, aiding and supporting the non-state actors. When we are talking about non-state actors, we are talking about the Fulani herdsmen terrorists, we are talking about the bandit, we are talking about whatever name you can name them, they are all the same thing. Now, how do we combat the state actors in the presence of what is going on in Nigeria now, that everybody knew that the state actors are very visible.
Before I'm aware of what Jiwa Danjuma said.
All right.
And he said we should all go and buy guns as well. He said
exactly.
Go and buy guns to defend yourself.
I'm not only him. Almost everybody is advocating for everybody to buy a gun, but that is not the point. What I'm trying to say is that when you have in a country where you have a state-sponsored terrorist, how do you now, make sure that your people are safe against a state-sponsored terrorism, like you see in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Before I answer that question, before you started, you read out some conventions and some laws guiding people by the UN, by EU, by Africa, and all these people. All these very fanciful, beautiful words. They are meant for human beings in Europe and in America, in Australia. That is where these things work. It was not designed for animals in Africa, where people do not reason very well, where people do not think very well. You have a country called Nigeria that domesticated into its laws the rights of indigenous people. Africa Charter on Human Rights that gives you, Simon, the right to agitate for the republic if you want. It's in the law of Nigeria. You go to court in Nigeria, a judge will be looking at this convention that is actually a law domesticated into law, and he will charge you also with terrorism. People don't understand the mess we're in. In a short while, I will answer your question. But until people realize that what we've been saying from day one is correct, their lives won't be any better.
Before you go further, Ahmadike, before you go further addressing that, you just made a point now about the self-determination. So let me also bring in the self-determination and read it a little bit for people who don't understand. Not for you, of course, but for people who don't.
So it's in the laws of Nigeria. When you say you're a terrorist, you are being persecuted. It's in their law. Nigerian law says you can agitate for anything you like. It's there in their laws. Please go ahead.
Now, apart from that, Nigeria being signatory to all these international laws, of course, automatically becomes also they are compelled to respect that law. Here you have the right of a people to self-determination is a cardinal principle in modern international law and commonly regarded as a jus cogens rules. Now, these jus cogens rules we are going to go into now to tell you what actually, as you can see it, a peremptory norms is a fundamental principle of international law that's accepted by the international community of states as a norms from which no derogation is permitted. And if you look at this particular law or the treaty, I would say it is binding as such on the United Nations as authoritative interpretation of the Charter's norm. It states that people, based on respect for the principle of equal right and fair equity of opportunity, have the right to freely choose their sovereignty and international political status with no interference. Now, everybody knows why United Nations was formed in the first place in 1945. Is to maintain peace. Peace, amongst nation and the state. Now, before going into commenting on this, how do United Nations comes in? It is us that have to now educate them about their own laws. That the reason United Nations was formed is to maintain peace. Now, how do you maintain this peace in Nigeria? In Nigeria, in Sahel region, in West Africa, considering the situation at the moment, what do you think that the United Nations should do to maintain peace in this region? Because that is exactly what they set them up after the World War.
Yes, what they're going to do to maintain peace is to allow people that want to go via their own UN supervised referendum or referenda, which is the plural of referendum, to allow people to determine where they wish to belong to. We are in a world today where you can no longer shackle people to a dogma that is outdated. We live in a world where you can no longer compel people to do something against their will. That is called slavery. I don't know the reason why some people will still attempt to justify, the clamping down or the demonization of freedom fighters in Africa. What you must bear in mind is there is a grand conspiracy going on. This is something that Africans must understand. You know the issue of CFA in West Africa, the French franc. France uses euros, but in Africa, the parts of Africa they control, they use French francs. The money that these people use, the currency, the paper currency itself, they mint it in Paris somewhere, and they to Africa. France is a country that I love very much. They support Biafra. I care about them. The problem in Africa, we Africans. You don't expect this to come down to solve anything for you. It's for you to solve it yourself. I remember I went to the understanding of any exactly. How can somebody come to your mother and going to UN and complain to them? UN will say you're stupid. Don't know what to do. It's only by repelling these demonic forces that the world cannot come in and say what is happening. If there is no war in Nigeria, UN will not talk. If there is no war in Nigeria, CNN will not cover it. In Nigeria, there will be no emergency debate at the House of Commons. Never. At a time in your life, you have to say enough is enough. What we are asking for is to find the law, and the law protects it. It's called jus cogens, which means in Latin, nobody can defend from this. Nobody can. It's a fundamental right to agit for your freedom. It's a fundamental right to do what IPOB is doing. No court, nobody can deviate from it. That is international law, which the Jews adopt. But we are there every day deceiving ourselves. Yes, of course, we thought that was their crime. God, IPOB. And you have a journalist, a Yoruba journalist that went to university condoning such evil. We are in Africa. We are conscientious of people who should be conscientious, condone evil because of one consideration or the other. And I give it why. Sometimes I say they say I am promoting white supremacy. No, I'm not. I am just being very factual. That is one thing that white people have that we Africans do not have. We make law, keep that law. That is why that's how women see all the time. People don't know the meaning of it. You go to court, you see a woman God. On the left hand is maybe and you see that they cover her eyes. Go and get the law. You know what it means that the law is blind. So even you, therefore, what is happening to us is coming to us, not from white people, not from anybody else. After all, the way that Britain is meddling into the zoo today called Nigeria is because we allowed it to happen. They are allowing it because Fulani is benefiting from it. Typical black people. And I must remind you that white black, the Spanish, the French, the Germans, the Belgians, they came to Africa. The conquering army, the European conquering army that took over the whole of Africa, we are not Europeans. They come to Africa and use Africans to conquer Africans. It hasn't left today. And these are the things that I'm saying that the benefit of black people is once you change with them, you will see the our Yoruba friends and brothers that the Fulanis are coming. Nobody believed us. They mocked us, they ridiculed us. They said, yes, if you watch mostly Yoruba journalists in channel television, they are making that same mistake and allow the Fulanis. Commission of the vanguard needs to come. And they're all in one Nigeria. 21st century and discussing the movement of cows. There's no justification whatsoever. And the message because we allowed it to happen. The world take notice, that's what we have to ask about ESM. The first rule in nature is self-defense. It is so common, it is called thought law. T-O-R-T, thought law. Which is a mad person without it. You don't have to go court by yourself. You come to my life, tell my mother you rape my sister, you call me sister, and then you go. When I confront you, you tell me you want Fulani in every state in Nigeria. Who told you that? If I give this preferential treatment to then one of those guys, why don't you give them land? And they don't. People see Ruth in the zoo and they keep meandering. They keep having. After all these years, look at the lives of model. After many that what IPOB has been saying is right. I'm in America. I don't give a damn. No apology to any anywhere. Waggy or Gwari people may have fallen for them. They may have fallen for them. A gala, some parts of it, where you see the land of Biafra, we will not surrender Biafra. And never, ever, no movement of any sort. None of them. The Fulani is the light. They can Biafra. And that's where, yes, something. Without apology to Egypt, they food, but that's what Egypt. Did you see that was cut off in the if you say no, we don't want no. But America broke from British Empire. Canada is a free nation. Is that correct? Under British influence before. Now you're telling me to do something that you did in America because you're white and I'm black. God is idiot. God is the Western saying openly. First, what did Australia to make Australia great? What the French people did, because I'm a black man, you're telling me I have to be a bunch of reprobates from the Sahel where I come to my village because I'm a Nigerian. God is
That is why we are backing every of your action and every of your decision. We have to see because of what you just said now. Because of what you just said now, that is, if you permit me, I will play just one video that is very, very important for our brother. That also shed more light on what you just said now, making America great again, or making people great, and you don't allow us to do our own. That is something that we have to talk about often. You cannot come and tell us not to do anything on our own, but in your own country, you want to do everything and make it the way you want. So let us play this video for our viewers to see. Very, very important. Very, very important. One moment. Oyendo, are you hearing this video?
I'm here.
Because they don't want me to put it online. So let me play the audio. So yes,
Someone can you hear me?
yes, are you hearing the audio?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay.
No, I cannot hear it. Maybe you can paraphrase it for me. Perhaps you can tell me what you're saying. But all the
okay. So of course, the audio is saying that, for those who keep coming on Biafra, it is not, they are not in the position to, tell Biafra not to talk about Biafra.
Yes.
That especially the issue of the war and defense and all that, they are not in position to talk or to tell Biafrans not to talk about Biafra. Rather, at the receiving end, you did not participate or feel the pain of Biafra. You're not a victim. So allow the victim of Biafra to talk. If they decide not to talk again, it is them that should decide not to talk about it. Not somebody who did not feel pain or who did not fall a victim of the killings by the terrorist government of Nigeria to come to say, okay, let us forget about this. That's what the person is trying to say. Until I'm going to put that on. Later on. And then, so now let us go to this. The next question. Nigeria has been killing people, Biafra people, since 1940 something.
Yes.
Since 1940 up till 2001. Yes. And if we begin to count apart from the over 5 million people that died between 1967 to 1970, after that, every killings that happened in northern Nigeria, the Biafra people has always been targeted.
Yes.
A lot of people are telling us now that, oh, Biafra, you are endangering the life of the people, you are endangering the life of the people. So, you know, and when they are endangering the life of the people, don't understand what do they mean by endangering the life of the people when actually the life of every person in Nigeria is already in danger. So can you tell us, how do you explain to them how endangered are the life of people in Nigeria? Not even talk about Biafra now.
One Nigeria is what is endangering your life. If you stay in one Nigeria, you die. Very simple. It's a very simple fact. Why people dying today is not because of one Nigeria. The other class agreed to what the people said in 1967 and opted for a confederacy, a confederation. Common sense. This is what they know the truth. They keep pretending. Let me tell you one thing. Those living
that's a strong
thing. Have you ever wondered why each time the Fulani is the land and that is this, you know, thrown out? They also what are and everything, the message of the unity of the country, because they know that we call fake unity of Nigeria. They can perpetrate any evil endeavor with it. That's right. If you went to Bori and agreed confederation with God, Britain said no, because that won't allow them to do such work that them everyone knows. So countries. In a country where we were before Koro here, before our eyes, the people of Nigeria said, no, bring them for access. Let's make very well. So come to rescue us. So there's another fight. Nothing on the to do agriculture. You know, I don't know what I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. Because no human being can really go to that is not something. Who was nobody said anything. They appointed a new ESG. Nobody said why all of the that's simply why I entirely the his body of bones and human life that's who we are. Nobody can take our land from us. Anybody they don't live in the village. I knew that when someone started, they would say, you have everything you have business. Why are you driving? I know the because you're living in Gwagwalada. You can't say that. When we do a cartoon of the Muhammad in bring a nation device, they destroy the place. They said, oh, let's destroy it. EU was that they observed it, they saw everything. I've seen all these things you're telling me about, so endangering your life. You are the one doing and every
Biafran agitators, including media and writing in national media, should take this up. It's a very strong one. Those who say we their life or life of Igbos, the people in North Nigeria, the people supporting North Nigeria are enjoying our life. I think this should be the message from now on, so that because a lot of people never understood this perspective you are coming from. Because when you continue to push for one Nigeria, you continue to endanger the life of others, especially those who do not want to be part of Nigeria, and those people who do not want to be part of Nigeria are much in number than those who want to stay in Nigeria, which is just 1% of, if not up to 1%. So this message will spread. We have to continue. Now, when you listen to the Inspector General of Police, you just mentioned about the EFCC, the Fulani, and nobody's talking about it. When you mentioned when you hear the Inspector General of Police declaring what they call whatever, the all my five names they give to the operation, and he came to the operation of what you call it, that they are going to deploy people to Northern Nigeria, the Trump zone, and all that. And you know that the people going there are our own people, the South. And you know that he has just 3 months left. And we know that this 3 months is going to be the most deadliest 3 months in Nigeria. Now they are sending our men and women to the northern part of Nigeria where Boko Haram and bandits are rampage. And the idea is to go and slaughter them. Because the thing that makes I apologize to our viewers because this thing is not allowed me to play even any video. I've tried, it's not working. So the thing this IG of police mentioned is that after making a speech, he said something in Arabic or something like Allah something. So I don't know what he said, but the he said, I do not know is addressing Nigerians in the English language. He ended up concluding with Hausa and Arabic prayer, mentioning Allah. First of all, a lot of people don't pay attention that it is a law. The same person, in a public office, addressing people, agencies who are supposed to be serving in the secular state. It is not just a privilege. Something should worry everybody that the police addressing the police people. All of a sudden, at the end of this speech, he ended up speaking Arabic and mentioning Allah. Even the president, even the one parading himself as a president, cannot, because it is completely against the constitution of Nigeria. If there's anything like that. So what do you have advice?
They don't do them. It doesn't belongs to them. We have British. Belongs to them. How the Hausa and these years have not grown any consensus on the time that they live. Nigeria belongs to them. I've seen the family military in Hausa language, in their own native tongue. I've not seen the motto of the Nigerian army that it is the same banner that Ottoman you went into. From Hausa, you know that? Arabic. I think the former people there have sending money from the government to use Arabic as a second language. So, remember that time we used to say that we are miscreants, we have many names. I love them anyway. All these names, the same words are used is what we are using. The BBC. The one of BBC is to make sure that is to moderate it. What would it be?
at the point where we are now, the question shouldn't be, where is your map? So some people are actually misleading a lot of people into putting more effort and emphasis on what is map. But rather, the law says there just needs to be an identifiable location. And you have done this in several of your broadcasts, mentioning where you think Biafra should start from and where it should end. That's exactly in conformity with what this law says. Then another thing is, number 3 is government. I'm not asking you a question, I'm just backing up with what you've said. The 3rd is an effective independent government with the capacity to enter into relation with other states. This is the trickiest of the 3 elaborated. Of course, this you have also done very perfectly and excellently well. For those who are looking for what is, how the Biafra government is going to be and all that, you have actually set example, you have actually set a pace, and actually form 2 parts in this Montevideo Convention, but essentially require states to have structured, legally independent administration that control at least some of its claimed territory and population. Some additional point to note are, a state does not have to have actual diplomatic relation. It could be under diplomatic boycott. It just needs to have capacity to have them. I believe, with what is going on now in Nigeria, we are going to come to this point of this Montevideo Convention. It may be invoked as time goes on, because when you anoba joso abaya jebe. So, and I believe that other part of Nigeria will also, without even knowing it, adopt this Montevideo Convention. Now, having said this, the Nigeria we see today, and the way the federal government of the Nigeria are backing terrorists openly, without even hiding it. They are backing the terrorists openly, supporting them, romancing with them, having meeting with them, and not only that, they are supporting them. The Sultan of Sokoto, who they regard as the traditional ruler of Nigeria, he is the chairman of board of trustee of Mayete Allah.
Of course.
Mayete Allah has come publicly to take responsibility of the terrorist attack against southern Nigeria. Now, in addition to this, the person that is parading himself as a president in Nigeria is a board member of this terrorist group that have been ranked number 4 deadliest terrorist group in the world. People are not paying attention to this. And when they are killing people, the Minister of Information, who happened to fall into the territory that was conquered in Kwara State, now come to say, we are not going to treat terrorists the same way we will treat those who want to get their freedom from Nigeria. That is the most absurd thing I have ever had in my life. I know you have addressed this particular comment coming from the liar Mohammed, from Kwara State. But please, can you, in a different, from a different perspective, can you tell us how would somebody who say he's a Nigerian, especially from the eastern part of Nigeria, and you call yourself a politician, you go to Abuja, you call yourself a governor, you go to Abuja, you call yourself a House of Assembly member, you go to your state and all this, and then you hear somebody saying that those who has made you not to travel by road to Abuja, those who made you not to travel by road to Enugu, those who made you not to travel by road to Owerri, with all your fine vehicle and all your cars, they are not to be proscribed. Rather, the people who say you should have your freedom are being proscribed in Nigeria where you actually have state judiciary that you can actually go and approach the state judiciary and order them to deproscribe IPOB. For the statement coming from that Minister of Information requires, opposite reaction. Now, what do you have to tell our people who think this way, that after that statement, nobody has actually come out to say anything? At least I have not read. I have not read anybody.
They will not come because they've been conquered. We are all slaves of the Fulani without knowing it. Not us anyway, no, maybe not IPOB, but the rest of the zoo. And I must thank you very much for the depth and for the depth of your research in terms of the Montevideo Convention. Montevideo is in Uruguay, for those who do not know. The reason why I never responded to those half-baked intellectuals that keeps talking rubbish about roadmaps because they don't know anything. I'm a student of contemporary politics. I actually read politics at the university in London. So when I hear some fools who are not educated talk about things that are above their station, I feel sorry for them. All of the indices you mentioned are very relevant. But I think the last one you alluded to is the most important. The United States of America, where I am today, went ahead to unilaterally recognize Kosovo as an independent nation. And today, Kosovo stands as an independent nation. It is your willpower, your determination to fight for what you believe in. Had our war gone on for 6 more months, at the time it ended in January of 1970, we would have been a free people today, because the world was waiting to see how determined we are. The reason why sometimes our people tend to not to understand the dynamics of international politics is because they are not well read. They are not well traveled. When we say it, they say we are arrogant. No, we're not being arrogant. It's just that we happen to be educated and we know what we're doing. We know what we're talking about. We know what we're pursuing, and we know how to get it. Having taken into consideration all the mitigating factors against the emergence of Biafra, our approach has therefore to be unorthodox. If you adopt the orthodox approach to state creation, you are bound to fail. They will ask you, oh, but you are in a democracy. Why don't you go through your senators and go through, that's, I call the point. We are the Janjaweed is waiting for you to come. Once you come there, that's all you want. That is the zoo called Nigeria for you. There is something that people need to understand. How many people are there in Liechtenstein? I think about 150,000 people or less. And Liechtenstein is a separate nation state to Europe. Nobody is complaining. Nobody is saying that they are too small, they cannot participate in what is happening within that very place. Our people need to understand this and understand very well. That our march towards freedom is multifaceted. The approach we adopted is multifaceted. The approach from different angles and dimensions to deliver one result, which is freedom. And in so doing, since the world has come and basically wash the hands of Africa, say, do whatever you can to survive, we are going to do what we can to make sure that we survive. If I understand our situation very clearly, is that our people need to remain very, very strong and resilient. Very strong and resilient. That a white man have always been black with one mental strength and resilience. When they had to go to the moon, the rockets blew up. The scientists at NASA, most people died in the process of trying to place a man in orbit. But they didn't stop. They were not deterred. They continued. We have a station to replace it with practical things. And that is what we have done and will continue to do until we are. We understand all the internal dynamics of how a zoo functions. In the case of Nigeria, we know it very well. One thing our youth did was to underestimate us, which is the very thing. I love the way they understand our resolve, our resilience, our determination, our intellect, our knowledge, our know-how. I love it. That is why we are where we are today. If you think you're hoping that one day you will wake up and things will be better in Nigeria, then you're the worst fool alive. Things can never be better. They have structured the system in such a way that if you were having 12 hours of electricity last year, this year you only get 6. despite all the so-called investments, despite all the money they have pumped into each and every supposedly viable, say there is no viable. When I talk about these concerning Nigeria as a whole, what I'm doing now is to approach it from a perspective. When you issue of Nigeria and how this is, you don't need to do any further. The only thing that you do is naturally, without any that all of us until we are, until the Oduduwa wake up one morning to say that the best way we can defeat these people is by the East and the West being together. And the Igbo, so to speak, Biafra and Oduduwa must be together. Because Fulani people have a godfather who is one of the permanent members at the United Nations Security Council, in this case, the United Kingdom. UK will never love you. They may respect you. They never love you. The only people that Fulani Janja within the north advantage already. Therefore, the only way for us to counter them is through our resilience, our stubbornness, our determination, our never say die attitude, and our ability to work with our closest neighbors, in this case, the Oduduwa, to stand strong and say enough. If we allow what is happening today to continue to happen, I'm afraid we'll be having these discussions, and what we're saying is the number of people who have been killed, where the burials are taking place, because people talk about it. Not the media, you don't have $30 million. That's what the have. $30 billion to lobby, to make sure saying doesn't bring about a price, to make sure that the BBC doesn't. And on top of it, if they don't work, yes, it's their own lobbying on their behalf. I'm not everything. I'm not going to stop it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A lot of people say our question is long. I don't know that all of the things are in already with the international law.
I like what you did with Montevideo Convention. Anybody asking you about simply give the link of Montevideo Convention in 1933, go there and see it. That is the
exactly.
I thank you for that.
Some of them call themselves lawyers and all that, deceiving people everywhere. Anyway, now the next thing I want to ask you is that when you look at the ESN, the Eastern Security Network, a lot of people are saying that, oh, now you have 4 militant, now after this, now the militant is going to talk this and talk that. Because I want you to expect from a different, looking at the difference. What we have in the ESN is completely different from anything you can see anywhere in Africa.
Yes,
it's completely
ESN is that American land is not taken over by the Fulani Janja. That's all.
Exactly.
The process, if you happen for Fulani to get land in village, they must have an or PG and show them the land or sign contract for them. Or in most cases, you have a political errand boy in Abuja, probably making his understand that what they are doing is intolerable and cannot be done. That's exactly what we are doing. And we cannot go outside that very limit. Never ever. But if you connect the police with the army to attack any form of ESN or any in the work of state, then you're writing our wrongs upon your head because we will not forgive nor forget. If we do a report saying no bring down, you're asking for it. People are going about putting up posts and you attack, you're asking for trouble. But some people were father by Fulani during the war. We understand that. They don't show it. The point is that what ESN is doing is to protect our land and people. It is not there to do anything else. That's why we are not a township. Where our lives are threatened, ESN, we are here to protect the lives of people until Biafra is restored. Nothing more, nothing less. We are not going to build that with brutality and senseless cover. It's not going to happen. Because we are also, and much of these people, they have sworn to defend Biafra. That's what they're there for. It's not going to happen.
Now, you know, looking at what is going on in Nigeria now, with Nigeria, the zoo is a complete. You know, you can imagine what would have been happening now if we are experiencing what the people are experiencing in Yoruba land, where the Fulani, they get Fulani, and in the other meeting, the Fulani come to say go to the forest in Yoruba. Now, what assurance are you giving our people of Biafra that if any attack on it would be resisted and what?
They should know that because we know that the Nigerian state is an accomplice what's going on because there is no president. Nigeria is dead. Everybody knows that. Even a fool knows that. That is why anything I say or Premier Additional says, you should regard it as the one speaking. in the height of this mayhem, slaughter, security, the person says you're pregnant. First, lady have to become, because I think she took my advice and went to a young man in Dubai. They have no corruption arranged to get president or not. And for this, by next time, together has been the government completely in the terrorism. They brought in terrorism into Nigeria. Fulani, deliberately, by a few videos, not like my this is the government and of bringing Nigeria. First, I feel sorry for black people. Let me tell you one thing. What is happening in Yoruba land cannot. They don't know. Britain must them. This is what I know. Them they have. And as I've said, they want to do this. Subdue the Yoruba with force of that against us with the might of them. That is the reason why it is going for them. I hope you see. Let's talk to the advertising. You can have people from the Nigerian army. What I prove to you that Britain is the one that wasn't. Let me see. And I can't make people do Let me tell you one thing people don't know. They do have the population to fire everywhere. If we do analysis of the same time as Biafra, they cannot, it's not asking for people to join in the forest. So we can give you a quick exit from this air. So you can guide people. What is encountering people? What is happening in the balance cannot happen in the East. It cannot happen. Britain killed us with one thing. Now we matter what we use. So how can you defeat? Are you waiting for us waiting for telling the world like before? You think we are stupid? Because what we use, we manufacture. If you want to know how effective it is, ask the zoo army. So they understand. Very soon, they keep us. Very soon, I told them for one to say the world can hear, because we have written to them, we have complained to them, we have petitioned them. Everybody, are you telling me the world doesn't know what you're doing? Are you telling me that CIA doesn't know? Are you telling me that doesn't know? Are you telling me they do not know what is going on? No. That was the different way. It doesn't make sense. Compare how you want and here the people the world knows that Fulani wants to go Nigeria. They know that very well. About all the massacres happening. I interviewed in 2016 and asked him, I said to him, look at national high school. After the interview, she was removed. Look at the by coming and national high school not happened. And also not happened. Ask him, there's a share. But the world saw the people millions and firing civilians. Something happened in China. You hear the whole America will be writing the Tiananmen massacre. What happened with the Shia was worse than the Tiananmen massacre? Not one single means of it, because Britain is not what goes around. People will consume you tomorrow. People you are supporting. This is what Nigeria will consume you. Then answer your question. You can go around there with idea.
Thank you very much for that. You know, Onyendo, when you are saying British, you know, this British, people don't understand why hammering on British. Let me make it very public. It's not also a question. I don't think that the question is going to be long. This is not a question you can make after this. Let me make it a public. In 2015, December 2015, a motion was filed by the British Parliament for the independence of Biafra. People don't know is that Biafra issue could be improved with the cooperation of the Nigerian government by offering a referendum and office to use its diplomatic strength to assist in the resolution of this matter.
I'm aware of it. No, I don't know you asked about it. I want to bring it up much later. In this our struggle for Biafra, but this nation will come into it. Remember, I told that in England, good people. In Britain, there are people. It was Britain that fought slavery, and yet it was Britain through their courts that bind to the right British people. So I hope and pray that one day good people will rise up again in the church to recognize that freedom for Biafra is also freedom for people. I give an example. What is it to say on the cabinet? If you give right now, Britain is struggling. So they are pleading with Joe Biden to give them favorable status in terms of trade negotiations and the rest of it. You ask an average British person, they prefer with America than with primitive name. Africa, Lord, when there are white people there.
Sorry about this. Yes.
Inferiority complex, black people.
And yes, now, when you look at, from what you have just said now, you explain something very, very important. And that reminds me, when you look at what is going on globally, you find out that people of the southern Nigeria, and then we bring it down to Biafra people, like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Miracles and wonders. Have you not seen people building power plants, little children building toys, remotely controlled? Have you not seen them doing marvelously well and doing wonderful things? Are we not the ones that manufactured the first indigenous car in Africa? We don't even need to go abroad. Those abroad will be begging to come back home to participate, because we have it in abundance. It's about harnessing the potentials of these people and bringing to the fore. We are not going to suffer what other Black people suffer from in Africa. If you are better than me at doing something, I will concede to you. I will step down and let you do it better than I can. That is the mentality to throw away. But those who are ignorant, doesn't matter, oh, because my child is not as brilliant on. God forbid. Excellence. We are going to celebrate excellence. We are going to reward those that serve the nation. Not noisemakers, not anti-criminals, not criminals, and vandals, no, heaven forbid. And above all, there will be no police carrying guns and so you can think fully. People don't understand this. In Biafra land, you can live life. Unless we are at war, you cannot see a soldier on the streets. So you can think properly. You can dealt with us. So we are going to build a novel. Britain, no, some Britain, they know this. They don't. Did you train nationalists? Then that answers the question. We don't need anybody. Welcome those from outside, though. No problem. Some of them said if Biafra were to come today, some of them will leave their things here and follow and go back home. They will come. We are going to accommodate them. Because you speak in a particular way doesn't mean you're intelligent. Doesn't mean you're. We have seen all this nonsense now. Those that spoil Nigeria, they are those speaking on the ground. Those speaking too much ground. They're the ones that ruin the life of everybody else. So you can come with them, but in Biafra land, everything's good.
Thank you very much. I know that you are very tired, because they are, first of all, the attack on this almost threw me off. Although I expected it, honestly, I tried to come this far. one thing I'm going to ask you, I think it's going to be the last question before you allow me to rest. Because, you have been on this journey a very long time and every day on $4. So I'm going to ask you one last question. The question is this: if from what I just read now, about the motion for Biafra independence at the UK Parliament, the wording is that the Office of the Commonwealth must make sure they use their diplomatic power and ties to compel, but they did not use the word compel, but to, compel the government to organize referendum, possible freedom of Biafra. And this is exactly what we are all asking. Now, if this did not happen, are you ready to lead us to do anything to get it from Biafra? Yes. I'm going to be number one to follow you.
Yes. Something like it's like a bunch of animals, of course not. Of course not. It can't, they don't very well. And I will come and I'll bring it. They understand it. You can't give me now. They don't know me now. I'm making it very good, or say they understand very clearly. So that by the time we are good, here they will remember the deed of God on our hearts. We don't come for anything else. I don't do anything else. Only for Biafra to on my path. I'm being forget about so British things in king with the fact that in England you have what has function. No, it's going to referendum. They understand it. Or else you if you have the world. With the blocks. They think they are janja with some. They will have a mechanism. We have abuse. We have the likes of
great from Canada, great from Australia, great from all over. You notice that my address has been on the,
yes.
Everybody from different parts of the world telling me to greet you.
Let them find out for COVID and I'll be there. COVID is everywhere.
And for those who are, in the media, we are promising that we are not going to fail. We work tirelessly until Biafra. We will follow you. Take of Biafra. We are going to follow because thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy yourself. Have a nice week. And see you again.
There is snow in Houston. I think it's for the first time in 5 or 6 years. They said I'm coming to Houston. People are living large here now. No one has something to come back. Them are very, very 5 years people of country, even more than the
we have minus 25 degrees here.
Yes, I think the temperature here is minus. I was minus 10 today. Now it's just 0. Now. Yes.
Thank you very much. This is the beginning of. I cannot even play any video on this my wonderful guy actually on Buhari system. So thank you all for this program. We're gonna go now, but tomorrow we are going to start our normal broadcast where we may be touching some of the issues we discussed today.